morning, everybody. I'd like to get going. I'm going to start a little bit early tonight. Those nice gentlemen in the back there that we have to start. Thank you so much. I know that this is a special Thursday. We are in Easter week. I know many people are at service tonight and they will be here a little bit later, but we've got a wonderful lineup tonight. We're going to start a little bit early just to make sure we get everybody in. I don't know if we're going to get that snow or not. What do you think? No? I don't think so either. Well, I'm Mary Amlaw. This is the Liberty Tea Party Patriots. Liberty Tea Party Patriots is the first and the longest running Tea Party group in the state of Minnesota. This group formed in March of 2009. It was the first of 59 groups all over the state to form by the end of 2011. How many of you were there for the beginning of all this? We're here to educate, motivate, and activate as part of the current Tea Party movement that stands against an out-of-control government of unconstitutional spending and taxation. We're an affiliate of the National Tea Party Patriots organization. It is a trademark name. The national organization defined who we are and what we can do to reclaim our country that our founders envisioned. Tea Party Patriots is the organization that defined the three core principles that are our guide for who and what to vote for. It's a guide for our policymakers at all levels to secure liberty-based policy. We all know the three core principles. One is limited constitutional government, so we may have personal freedom. The second is free market economics, so we have economic freedom and prosperity. And the third is financial responsibility, so we have a debt-free future. Do we all agree with that? Yes, we do. Remember that the TEA in Tea Party stands for? Tax enough already. Yep. So, make sure you grab a brochure and share it with your family and friends, especially at Easter dinner when they start saying things. Just whip out one of these brochures and give it to them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The people helping us at the monthly meeting include Jason Tellett, who is the owner of the tavern. We're so appreciative that he allows us to come here every year, along with Alex Erickson, the banquets and events manager. We have Jeremy here, who is always the evening manager, and he treats us so well. Please give them a round of applause. There he is. Here's Jeremy right there. All right. Jeremy, we appreciate you. And Shawn, our server back there, Jackie Heinen, always greeting you at the door, Diana Halsey, Robert Marvin, the videographers. If anybody would like to get a copy or know where this is being posted, just make sure you talk to Diana and Robert. Travis Eckbaum, thank you again for always being here with this gorgeous flag. Isn't that fabulous? And our favorite bartender is Mo. Say thank you to Mo. I want to say thanks so much for supporting this local business, and please do come back. Put your food and beverage orders here tonight. In this banquet room, they're needed in order to keep the room for future meetings. Please, no side conversations, turn off your phones, and we will begin. We always begin with an invocation. I would like to invite State Senator Jim Abeler from this District 35 to lead us in the invocation.
Earlier, clapping for an invocation. Clap for the Lord. We need wisdom more than ever, I think. In these times, you are the core. You are the people who are going to be amongst the groups that help us to protect what we so dearly take for granted. And so I'm really pleased that I can offer the invocation. And so just so you know, today is Passover. And Passover is really about the power of God over evil. Rescued from Egypt, as you recall, and then freed from the hands of an evil Pharaoh. Maybe there's a parallel there. Except we're not going anywhere. We're staying here, and we're gonna fight. We're gonna recruit some friends of ours who think a little like us, who might want to come our way, and then we're gonna persevere. And then we're going to repeat that. And that is how we are going to preserve our state and our country. And Easter, as you know, is the power of God over death. And unfortunately, as a downer, I'm sorry you're all going to die. Not today. Anyway, you survived COVID and you survived all the mass. But anyway, But so, and just, you know, we all die alone. And so as we think about the seriousness of this season and the joy of it, make it personal and then keep it personal. Well, let's pray. Let's pray God's blessing here. Oh Lord God Almighty, Most High, you're never surprised. You love each person here. And even if they're interested in you, love them. And I'm amazed at how you've been so good to me. Please engage each person here in a special way, not just for tonight, but in going forward. And help us see your majesty and your power. And you are the Most High God, and there's none greater. Look after each person here, their families, their fortunes, their neighborhoods, and their friends as they make a difference in this country like the Patriots did several hundred years ago, and many whom died in trying to preserve this for us. So help no one here die trying, but help them really persevere and repeat as they go forward to make a difference. Bless every candidate here as they have the courage to stand up, and those who aren't here. Bless each person, and thank God for Mary Amlaw. In Jesus' name, amen.
I guess he did that because he knows it's my birthday on Saturday.
Happy birthday, Mary. So 29 again.
29, yeah, 37, only flip it around. Okay. Here's a special guest tonight, too. I'm so thrilled to have Cindy Pugh with us. Way back when, Cindy Pugh was one of 3 co-founders of the Southwest Metro Tea Party Patriots group in Chanhassen. At the same time, I and Greg Nyberg from CD5 started the North Metro Tea Party Patriots, and we became 2 anchors for the Twin Cities. We persevered for a long time. I'm still here, but you went on to be a 3-term state representative, and she's still busy working, helping out with the Child Protection League. She's going to lead us in the pledge and then tell us about the Child Protection League event at the end of April with Lara Logan. Please welcome Cindy Pugh.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. At this beautiful flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you, Mary, and thank you to the Liberty Tea Party Patriots for allowing Child Protection League to speak to you this evening. I am so grateful that you're all here and engaged in the fight, and we know that the challenges before us are daunting, but especially so for our kids. And from indoctrination to physical harm and so much more, our kids need each and every one of us to step up. So we're really so grateful for your engagement. And I know you know, most of you know of Child Protection League because Cindy has been here with a table and Mary has been speaking to not only our event, but of the good work of Child Protection League as well. CPL was founded in 2013, and it was founded in my first legislative session to fight the anti-bullying bill. And I don't know how many of you remember the anti-bullying bill. I see some hands raising. But it was the camel's nose under the tent at a time then when Republicans were in the complete minority. And it was the precursor to the really vile comprehensive sex education that has been so embedded in the curriculum now. So Child Protection League, and in fact, I'd like to encourage you to stop over at our table and pick up one of our really amazing About Us brochures to learn a little bit more, and I think about Child Protection League, and I think you'll be inspired to look for ways to join the movement. So I'm here tonight to invite you to our upcoming spring conference. And I have a flyer in the mass of papers that I noticed on each of your tables, but it's a white flyer. If you could look for one, there should be enough for everybody, and if not, we have more on our table. But it is going to be a fabulous event located at a really nice hotel within close proximity to the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. and they have a big, beautiful ballroom that we are looking to fill up, and I'm hopeful that I'll see a lot of you there. I'll be offering a 40% discount to each of you, and you can share this with your friends as well, because again, we want to fill up the ballroom. I'm going to share that with you after we view a short video from our keynote speaker, Lara Logan. And I know that you know who she is, so I think what we'll do is watch that right now, and then I'll share a little bit more about the content.
For America's children, there are so many threats that they face, whether it's from child trafficking and exploitation, or technology, medical abuse, indoctrination. There has never been a more challenging time for parents and for children together. So that's why I'm very grateful that there are organizations out there like the Child Protection League who are working to unite people to create a movement that will protect all of our kids. And how are they doing this? Well, there's a conference that they're hosting. It's on April 25th, 2026. So April 25th this year, that's just in a few short weeks, where you can hear from people who are already on the front line of this fight, doing whatever they can to stand up for our children. The conference will cover just about everything, whether it's law, medicine, advocacy, and I'm going to be one of the people that is speaking there. I want you to know that I really do believe in this mission. There is nothing more urgent, there's nothing closer to my heart. I'm a real mama bear, as anyone who knows me will tell you. And I know that there are many other mama bears and also papa bears out there. So if you're feeling powerless and you want to do something but you don't know what to do, this may be the place for you. You can go to cpleducation.org. That's CPL, Child Protection League, education.org to register, and you can do this, you can attend the conference whether it's in person or virtually. So what can I say to you? Join the movement, join the fight, get on the front line. Let's do something significant together for all of our children.
Thank you. She's going to be amazing, and I'm certain that you saw the flyer, the white flyer, but I would draw your attention to the blue flyer that I put on each of your tables, and there's only one, and I would encourage you, it has the QR code on it, so you can take a photo of this with your cell phone and also see the other speakers that are going to be there. I'm certain that you noticed that the amazing Liz Collin with Alpha News is going to be our MC. Our MC, and she's, of course, she is, actually I heard from her the other night, and she shared with us that Alpha News is receiving more views now than the Star Tribune. So this is just awesome. We've been looking forward to that, so she'll be there. Also, many of you know, but please take a look. There are videos on our website from Mel Kay, from Dr. Curtella, from Mark Trammell, and he's with the Center of American Liberty, which Harmeet Dillon, a civil rights assistant AG of the Civil Rights Division, founded. And also Alvin Louie. I don't know how many of you know of Alvin Louie, but he is amazing with his website, Courage is a Habit, and offers creative ways to assist in protecting children's innocence. So anyway, the code for the in-person conference is I Stepped Up. So if you would write that down, it's I Stepped Up. And I will be at our table afterwards, and you can stop over if you need to hear it again. Also, please share it with your friends. The coupon code for 40% off of an in-person ticket will be good through next Monday, so the Monday after Easter. And again, we want to fill the ballroom. Also, there is an opportunity for a virtual ticket that's $50, and you can watch live stream as well as see it as many times as you want. Gather with your friends. Buy one for your children to protect your grandkids. How about that? So I think that's it. Otherwise, please stop over at the table. We would love to. I did put one other thing on your table. CPL does such good work. This is a copy of one of our Substack articles that I printed so you could see a copy of our good work. It's entitled Red Alert on Medical Freedom, Kids Being Targeted. And this is what's happening right now at the Capitol. And also there's information on a congressional level as well. So there isn't any one of us who can do everything in this fight, but every single one of us can do something. And I'm grateful for you and this opportunity. Thank you so much.
And I will add that no one effort is too small. It all adds up. Because look at us. Look at us. Isn't that fun? We're going to win this year, too. I know it. I feel it.
Hallelujah.
Yep. I'm going to bring up Shawn Holster for a moment. He's the former Minneapolis Republicans chair, and he's got a very exciting announcement. Shawn.
Yes, thank you.
Do you want me to sit
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mary. I just want to take a few moments of your time to talk about the Hennepin County Attorney's race.
Oh.
Yes. Okay, show of hands. How many fans of Mary Moriarty do we have in here, right? Big fans? Yeah, right? Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. Hennepin County races are a little different, right? They're not like statewide races. They're not like state legislative races. So they are by nature or by statute nonpartisan races, right? There are, 7, 8 candidates in the field right now? 6, including yourself? Right, okay, 6 candidates. 5 are actively seeking DFL endorsement, even though it's not, anyway. We have 1 conservative in the race, right? So I want to give you a little bit of math here real fast before I introduce said candidate, the only conservative candidate in the race. What matters in a county-wide race, and this is going to matter in the sheriff's race as well, is the primary election, right? The primary election, we all need to turn out. Get out the vote, get out the vote, get out the vote. Because it is not a ranked choice election, but it is similar because only the top 2 move on to the general election, right? So basically, we either need 31%, that takes it at number 1, or we need to be number 2 to go to the general. So, that said, allow me to introduce our candidate, Diane Krenz, for Hennepin County Attorney.
Thank you, Shawn. I'm going to try to put my timer on and see if I know how to actually do it. My name is Diane Krenz, and I'm running for Hennepin County Attorney. I went to law school to be a prosecutor. I was able to live that dream, and I worked at the Hennepin County Attorney's office for over 40 years. It was a stressful job, it was a hard job, and sometimes it was a really sad job, but I loved it. Next to being a mom and having a wonderful husband, it is the shining light of my life to have done what I wanted to do. You get to help cops investigate cases, you get to help people, you get to help victims, and you get to make sure that people are held accountable.
Okay. There we go. Unfortunately, approximately a year ago, I needed to leave after I saw what you-know-who was doing in that office. So a year ago, in 2 days, I left and I started looking at running against Mary. And then when Mary announced that she wasn't going to run because she'd been told by DFL people that she couldn't possibly win that election, she handpicked a candidate, and that is Cedric Frazier, who is a current state representative. And so that's the person that is going to be Mary Light. And that firmed my resolve to run. I've prosecuted hundreds, if not thousands, of cases, most of them felonies. I've tried homicides, I've tried sexual assault cases, and what I was really known for was putting together multi-jurisdictional fraud cases. Anybody want to take care of fraud? My last 7 years were spent prosecuting fraud cases, which included tax fraud and insurance fraud. And so I have sat across from hundreds of victims, people who've lost loved ones, people who've had terrible things done to them. And I've worked with every police department in Hennepin County. I have worked with police departments in all sorts of jurisdictions around the state. And I have worked with the BCA, the revenue people, and with federal investigators. So I know what it is to really be a prosecutor. Not a single person in this race has the experience that I have. Not a single one of them has ever prosecuted a case in Hennepin County, which is a very different critter from almost any other county. I am the only person who is a true conservative, independent candidate. I can't say I'm a Republican because it's Hennepin County, but I am the only conservative. I know what it means to do it. I will refocus on the basics. Cooperating with police officers, those relationships have been destroyed while Mary has been there. They know me in my work. I'll have all offenders held accountable according to what's appropriate within the law. I've had people sent to prison for life for first-degree murder. Mary will not prosecute those cases. That would be a big change when I get in there. And I will make sure that victims' voices are again heard. There's a statute that says you have to listen to the victim, and Mary has been violating that left, right, and center. So what am I asking for? I'm asking for your support in this run. If you live in Hennepin County, I ask that you vote for me in the primary so I can get through to the general. If you want to volunteer, that would be great. And if you want to donate, I would really appreciate that. Thank you for having me here very much. Thanks. I always miss that part. Diane Krenz for Hennepin County Attorney.
Website.
Krenz as in zebra. And the website, there are some cards going around, but the website is dianekrenz.com, and there's a QR code on the little sheet.
Well, welcome to the club. We're happy to have you. And you're welcome back anytime, too. Don't we? We would have her back all throughout the season? I think so. All right, we're going to go right into some other candidates for United States Senate. We have Adam Schwarze.
Good to be back and see so many Tea Party Patriots. Let's go for the Patriots of America. Who's new? I know we got a couple of new people. Raise your hand. Give a round of applause to the new people. Because we have new people, you get to hear me the greatest things. Values. That's what I want to talk to you now about values. Is running for the United States Senate, abiding by your endorsement. What are my values? That's what this is. This is a job interview. I want you to hire me to be your United States Senator, and I want to do so because we have shared values. And I think we do. So I'm going to start off talking about my values. Well, one, I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, the values that America was founded on, not Sharia law. I've had the honor of serving you longer than anybody else in federal office downrange. 9 deployments, 75 countries. Most of you know this already, Marine, Navy SEAL. It was great to serve you in that capacity. Because I've served under 4 presidential administrations, I know what leadership looks like. Poor leadership, Obama, Biden, and great leadership, like we have right now under my Commander-in-Chief and our 45th and 47th President, Donald J. Trump. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, by percentage the largest drug reduction in history. And when it comes to foreign policy, America is back on top again. peace through strength, and America first foreign policy. The Democrats, by the way, they won't even stand up for you. If you watched the State of the Union a couple weeks ago, President Trump, in a unifying moment, hey, Democrats, this is an easy one. Let's stand up together and put American citizens first. What happened? They sat down. I don't want to be a reductionist, but maybe it goes back to the last four letters of our two parties. Republican, last four letters, I can. Democrat, a rat. Maybe. I don't want to be reductionist, I think, but that's what it might come down to. Does anybody in here like guns, by chance? Me too. As a 10-year Marine infantryman, I'm also a lifelong distinguished member of the NRA. I promise you, nobody's going to protect your constitutional gun rights more than I do. As I travel the entire state for this race, I say this. As a leader, I won't ask you to give up your guns unless I'm going to give up mine first. Spoiler alert, I'm not giving up my guns, so your guns are also safe. And the last thing I want to talk about tonight as far as values. Some candidates shy away from the life issue because they're scared of it. They don't want to lose races. Well, me neither. But we don't have to give up our values. And for me, when it comes to life, it's actually a really personal issue. Because I'm only on this planet because my mom sacrificed and chose adoption for me. I'm only before you right now because my mom sacrificed so I could be here. So when I get to the United States Senate, you better believe I'm going to be the largest fighter for life, not only as a part of our party platform, but there's thousands of children all across America right now who are waiting to be adopted in loving families just like I would. Would you be okay with your tax dollars, instead of funding Planned Parenthood and abortions, going to support women who are expectant mothers in need? Would you be okay with that? Me too. And you know what? I think everybody, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, is okay with promoting adoption. Actually, that's not true. Tina Smith in the U.S. Senate right now shut down every single federal bill that supported expectant mothers, but was okay with your tax dollars going to Planned Parenthood. Peggy Flanagan will be more of the same. I guarantee you that. The good news is, team, is we are on the right side of this issue. We need to support women, and we do. Just like Republicans support women from having to serve in prisons with men. Like Republicans support women, your daughters, from having to play sports against males. That's insane. But that's what my general election Peggy Flanagan's talking about. Peggy Flanagan thinks that your daughters should have to compete against men. They're spending millions of your tax dollars right now to fight that. The best thing I can end this on is winning. We don't have to sacrifice values for winning. Here's the best thing. 93% of federal incumbents win every single cycle. The DC apparatus is actually set up that way. The military-industrial complex, the foreign lobbyists, Big Pharma, they put money on both sides of the aisle so they can lock in that establishment swamp candidate. But there's a small subset of American patriots who figured out how to win federal elections. Any guesses? Navy SEALs. You know this. Okay, patriots. 93% of the time incumbents win, 7 for 7. We are 7 for 7. So how are we doing this? Right now, this is the remarks I came here to get the updates on. Who's a delegate, by the way, here? Wow, that's amazing. Give yourselves a round of applause. So thank you. If we win, it's going to be God's glory, but it's all of your work. So thank you, those who are taking the time out of your day, your weekends to become delegates. Why is this happening? Why do Navy SEALs do successfully all over the country? One, we do the work. There's no shortcut to becoming a Marine, there's no shortcut to becoming a SEAL, and there's certainly no shortcut to becoming a United States Senator. We do the work. My team has been assembled for over a year now. We've been on the campaign trail. We've got leadership nodes in every single congressional district. We've got over 1,000 volunteers now. 1,000. The precinct caucuses, we just got done that, all the delegates that I'm talking about, we won every single precinct caucus poll in the entire state except for 2. And the only reason why we didn't win those 2 is because they were taken before we showed up. So, but I appreciate that. That means we're over the target with the messaging of the values you want. And I'm also happy to report that we're raising the funds that are going to help win down ballot. We're going to report that will be over $1.1 million in our campaign account alone, and a few $100,000 in our PAC. Because these races are expensive. for earning the money. And by the way, not a dollar from Big Pharma, not a dollar from the military industrial complex, not a dollar from DC. We've got money from 87 of 87 counties, 50 of 50 states, people like you in this room, who I've met a couple of my donors in this room. So thank you. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. Thank you for doing the work. We are going to take our state back, down ballot. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless America. Let's take our state back.
All right, also for United States Senate, we have Mark York.
Woo! Would someone mind holding my camera as I speak? Have any volunteers?
I'll do that.
Sorry, I wasn't better prepared. Thank you, another candidate holding my camera. I've always said we Republicans only ever meet in VFWs or golf courses. It's true. I really consider myself more of a VFW guy, so thank you for promoting me to the golf course circuit. I'm Mark York, running for U.S. Senate. Raise your hand if you've heard me speak before. Okay, about half. All right, I can go through the old intro then. I'm a 7th generation farmer from Lake Wilson, Minnesota. It's a 240-person town. On Google Maps, you gotta zoom in 4 or 5 times, and oh, there it is. We're down by Pipestone. My family's been there since 1930. I always like to tell this story. When I was born in the hot, dry summer of 1988, my dad came into the hospital and held me, his first kid, and he said, "I wish you were big enough to help with the oats harvest." Well, he didn't have to wait long. That's exactly how I grew up. Baling straw, feeding pigs, driving tractors a little too young. I love agriculture. It's always been near and dear to my heart. But I also love math. So I went to South Dakota State. I studied math, studied agronomy. I ended up getting a job at Cargill as a grain trader, a data scientist. I decided to go further into the data science, so I went out east and did a PhD in computer science at Harvard. And I tell you, nothing makes you a better debater than being a conservative at Harvard. That place. Just a little aside. So just yesterday, these new H-1B visa slots were released. So in previous years, I have a lot of friends who went to Harvard, got a full-ride scholarship for math or engineering or whatever. They applied for this H-1B talented visa to stay in the United States if they're foreigners. And more often than not, they get rejected. They get sent back to the home country. That's right, we pay all this money to educate these people, and then we send them off to the world. Some of them are liberals, I guess. Maybe we don't need them, but you know, in general, we do need talent. Well, guess what happened this year? Every single person who applied, without exception, that I've heard of, got that visa. And the reason is because before Trump, under Biden, there were these visa mill companies that were recruiting low-cost labor from India to come here and take Americans' jobs. And Trump said, we're going to close that loophole, and we're not going to let people, we're essentially going to say, you have to pay this $100,000 fee to get a skilled visa. That way, you're not replacing Americans, you're only hiring these people if you really need them. And guess what? Now we closed that loophole, and President Trump made sure that we're protecting American jobs, first and foremost. And what did my liberal friends at Harvard have to say about that? Crickets. No matter what President Trump does, the left is not going to see what he's doing to save our country. And so I'm done trying to please them. Speaking of President Trump, I got to spend the last year as a senior advisor in his White House, where I wrote our critical mineral strategy. President Trump is firing full force on all cylinders to bring back American jobs, to open the mines and minerals processing around our country, including the 3 mines in northern Minnesota. We have never had a more innovative, hardworking president than President Donald J. Trump. Minnesota used to be the source of so many industries that powered our country. We mined 75% of the iron ore that won World War II. We did, right here. We built the world's first shopping mall. We built 17 Fortune 500 companies. We were the world's #1 producer of flour. Now where are we? How many new companies of any size or significance have been created in Minnesota in the last 50 years? No, almost zero. We have in northern Minnesota 3 mines that should be open that would produce cobalt, copper, and nickel. Those are exactly the minerals you need to produce batteries, drones, iPhones, electric cars, all the industries of the future. We have all the minerals, we have all the talent, we have everything we need to build it right here. The only thing we don't have is the will and the leadership to make it happen. A few years back, my mom came down with Parkinson's disease. And unfortunately, almost exactly 1 year ago on Palm Sunday, she passed away. That's when I realized that right here is where I'm needed most, right here at home. Yeah, I could keep working at the White House, but I want to fix our state so that my friends and my family and my children have a place to grow up that's as wholesome and as full of opportunity as I had. There's three things I'm going to do in the U.S. Senate. Day one, number one, we're going to introduce a bill to make it easy to build things again. We're going to open these mines, we're going to create jobs. Number two, we're going to cut the red tape that makes life so expensive. We have the third most expensive daycare in the country, to the point that my own sister had to delay having kids so she could afford to send her to daycare. And third and finally, we're going to cut the fraud that has made us infamous among the U.S. and among the world. We are going to use the analytics that credit card companies already use to prevent fraud before it happens. I see I'm almost out of time. I want to close by saying, how do we win? We Republicans continue to find a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory in this state. It's true, we are our own worst enemy. So how are we going to turn that tide? I just want to say, I am a true conservative. I'm pro-gun, I'm pro-life, just everything you heard. Thank you. Everything you heard Mr. Schwarze say is true of me as well. There's no other conservative candidate in this race who's going to win in November. I'm sorry to say it, but the other candidates have too much baggage. The Democrats are going to have a field day. They're not afraid of us. Tina Smith has endorsed Peggy Frodigan Flanagan. And so, I just want to say, I'm going to try to go to every single BPOU. I've already hit almost 100. And I'm going to earn and abide by your endorsement in May. So thank you so much for your time. I'm Mark York, running for U.S. Senate.
Thanks, Mike. All right. We're going to have a governor candidate here, Patrick Knight. Please welcome him. He's one of the three abiding candidates.
Thank you. Patrick Knight running for governor. By the way, happy Easter, happy Passover. Tonight's Holy Thursday, the first of three successive nights, arguably the three most, the holiest days in a row in the Christian calendar. And tonight we celebrate the Last Supper. And amongst other things, Christ did the washing of the feet. And if you remember, Christ took off his outer garment, bent down, and washed the feet of all 12 of his apostles. And then he commanded them to do the same thing to others that he just did to them. And I think that's a great reminder for all of us who are seeking public office. That is our role, is to serve you. And that's servant leadership. And that's the iconic, thank you. And that's why really I am in the race, is because I want to serve all Minnesotans, not just certain factions. And after watching the 2023 legislative session where it felt like all the legislation was geared to particular factions, not all of Minnesotans, that's what got me fired up to run. I also got fired up to run because of all the fraud. I'm done with the fraud. So I don't have to stop it, we need to kill it. And I'm also sick and tired of watching Republicans lose statewide race every single year since 2006. So watching all that, I did what I always do when I see a challenge, I think I'm going to make an impact, and I want to serve, is I take action. That's what I did as a Marine for 20 years, active duty and reserves. I started out as a judge advocate, but I thought I could make a bigger impact in the infantry, so I switched into infantry, became an infantry company commander in charge of 200 men, learned about leadership, sacrifice, being part of something bigger than yourself. I ended up deploying to the Middle East and retiring as a lieutenant colonel. That's what I did as in private industry. I started out at Cargill as an analyst, but I thought I could make a bigger impact in leadership, so I got in the management track and eventually became CEO of a food manufacturing company, different than Cargill. But nevertheless, learned a lot about setting budgets, hiring and firing, creating jobs, and producing results. That's also what I did as a father. When I was a kid growing up, I played football, basketball, and baseball, but I had 4 kids, my wife and I, all born in Minnesota. So I learned how to play hockey, because they wanted to play hockey. So I ended up coaching them for 15 years because I wanted to make an impact on their life. But we need to take action. We don't need more talk. We don't need more spending. We don't need more committees. We need to produce results for the people of Minnesota. One of my favorite quotes is from General George Patton, which is an 80% plan executed aggressively today is better than the perfect plan tomorrow. We need to take action because Minnesota families are struggling. When a hardworking Minnesotan does everything right, when he works hard, he lives within his means, he pays his taxes, he loves his neighbor, and he still can't get by, there is something wrong. And Minnesotans are losing hope. And we need a plan to fix it. And I do have a plan. And it's a plan based on 5 fundamentals. These 5 fundamentals allow people to flourish if they're in place. And I'm not making this up. Started with Aristotle 2,400 years ago, and the Nicomachean ethics in politics goes through all the way through James Madison and the Federalist Papers down to today. And if these 5 elements are in place, people don't need government to thrive. They can thrive on their own. So the 5 elements: affordability, economic and job growth, rule of law, great education, and competent government. That's not a lot to ask for. It's not rocket science. It's easy to say. It's hard to do. And it's hard to do because it takes a lot of hard work, it takes sacrifice, it takes time. And we need a governor who's going to roll up his sleeves and get to work and focus on the fundamentals. And I have hope that we can turn this around, and here's why. How many of you lived in Minnesota 8 years ago? Raise your hands. Pretty much everybody. We haven't changed. We're still some of the hardest working, best educated, best trained people in the country. We still have one of the best geographies in the whole world. We haven't changed. What has changed is the government in St. Paul and the policies they're pushing. I'm a Republican, voted for Trump 3 times. I'm pro-life, pro-Second Amendment. I'm abiding by the endorsement. I love God, I love my neighbor, love my enemy. But if I'm honest, I fail at least one of those every day. Wake up the next morning, try to do better. But if you want more of the same, I'm not your guy. But if you want a steady conservative who has the leadership of a Marine, the competence of a CEO, the basics of a coach, who has a history of delivering results, not just talking about it, and who will fight like hell on the fundamentals, I'd love your support. And let's get to work. Patrick Knight, running for governor. And happy Easter.
Oh, God. I told him to go break a leg. He's going to play hockey. Is it with your kids?
No, old guys.
Oh, big guys. Be careful now. Yeah. We're going to do one more speaker, and then we're going right into our main speakers here tonight. But we have John Nagle. John, make your way up here. He's running for U.S. Congress in CD5. Should have given you more of a warning, huh? Then you can go play hockey with Patrick.
I'd love to. Where are you going to be?
Minnetonka.
All right.
Do you want to stand here? Okay. That's fine.
Again, I'd like to wish happy birthday to Mary. She does a great job. And I appreciate you letting me be here. So, I actually kicked off my campaign here in October at the Tea Party. You remember me being here?
Yep.
It was night Liz Collins was here, and I want to thank you because my first donation came from you guys. I mean, truly, it was just amazing. So I want to thank you all for that. For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm a retired state trooper, 30 years with the State Patrol, retired as a lieutenant. And after I retired, I was very lucky and I taught classes at a college, and it was colleges on world governments and world terrorism. Did that for a while. Worked for the Twins as security. Got some of the best seats in the house to watch the Twins play. That was amazing. But the best part that I had was I'm a DNR youth firearms instructor. And I get to teach little kids firearm safety. I get to teach them how to survive in the wilderness and how to take care of their environment. And there's nothing like watching a little tiny kid, well, not a little tiny, but a young person go running up with that certificate to their mom and dad and going, I get to go hunting with my uncles now, okay? I'm a Second Amendment guy. I don't really go anywhere without it, and yes, I'm not without it. Yeah, I'm a constitutionalist at heart. I think everybody should be carrying a gun, except if you're a felon and, you know, in jail. So, are you tired of losing? Are you tired of losing? Yeah, me too. Republicans have to stop doing what we've been doing for years and years and years and years because it's not working. If you're a Republican in this congressional district, and I'm running against Elon Omar, as you know, we only get about 25% of the vote, okay? And that comes out to about 28,000 people. I don't know about you, but 28,000 isn't good enough. And we keep getting those same numbers over and over and over again. So we need to quit doing that. We need to find the people that vote for folks, not because they're a Republican or a Democrat. They're voting because they care about kitchen table stuff. They care about their schools. They care about their kids. They care about safety. They care about taxes. They care about being ripped off. Every time you open up the newspaper, or, well, I don't open up the newspaper anymore. I go to Alpha News. Yeah. But it's easier to find the places that don't have fraud versus the ones that do. I'm waiting for them to start looking at the marijuana industry, frankly. You want to look at fraud? Check out the marijuana industry. That was just built for fraud. And nobody's even started to talk about that. I've been very lucky. I've had a lot of Fox News interviews. If you go to YouTube, go to our website, you can see how I've talked about the governor. Oh, and by the way, there are 3 people that need to be in jail. And I have handcuffs. Those handcuffs are for Keith Ellison, Walls, and Ilhan Omar. It's on the horizon, folks. It truly is on the horizon. Be patient, all right? Biden administration told the FBI to stand down when they found all of this stuff about her. So they've had to reopen up the investigation. The FBI has emails from her to some of the Feeding Our Future scandals. I mean, there's enough stuff there. And the vice president just came out and finally said what we've all known. She's here illegally, right? And we knew that. I was at the top of the ticket in St. Louis Park. I ran for the House, and I was able to move our numbers. I had people that had never voted for a Democrat before vote for me. I had lawn signs in Democrats' front yard that had never voted for a Republican. They're tired of being ripped off. They are tired of the terrible schools. I'll do the red meat thing right now. And I like Pete Hegseth. No dudes in dresses, right? Transgender, that's a sickness of the parent. Very rarely is it the kid. We need to clean up our schools. Our schools are being run basically by democratic socialists, and let's call it for what it is. They're communists. And we need to change that and fix this. You have the right to be able to go anywhere you want to and be protected and not have to worry about people. By the way, are you still here? Diane Krenz? Diane, stand up. Okay, being a retired state trooper, I actually walked the beat in Minneapolis. They called the state patrol in a couple of times. Vote for her. Vote for this lady, because we need real people that support law enforcement. So again, if you want somebody that's going to stand up to the bullies, if you want to have the SAVE Act, the STOP Act, the Omar Law, if you don't know what those are, I'll tell you later. We've got all those. And then ask yourself, whoever you choose to go to Congress, are they serving themselves or are they going to serve you? And with that, thank you so much. Have a great Easter. Thank you, Mary.
No, thank you.
I'm serious about that. These handcuffs are for the Department of Justice police officers that show up. I'm going to help them and give them these to go arrest Ellison.
Are you okay on time, Wendy? Are you sure? Okay. So I'm going to move on here. I don't know how many of you go way, way back to the beginning of the Tea Party, but Dan Pilla, you were a Tea Party favorite, what, 19, 20 years ago? You're still here. Your father is actually one of the many that started the Legislative Evaluation Assembly in 1972. This is a good family, the Pilla family here. But if you noticed in my email, I had a lot of quotes from Dan. Fraud is not just a Minnesota problem. Free money from the government encourages fraud at the Fed level. IRS, though, continues to encourage people to claim credits without providing qualification guidelines. And he says it's just another reason we have to abolish the income tax system. How do you like that? I want to introduce to you Dan Pilla. He's a good friend, IRS and tax expert, a congressional testifier, both state and national, executive director at Tax Freedom Institute, Inc. If you got a problem, this is the man you call. Author and National Review contributor. It's an honor to have you here again, Dan. Come on up.
All right, well, thank you very much, Mary, and thank you, everybody, for asking me back here to the Tea Party group here. It's my pleasure. I've been around so long, I'm losing my memory. But no, Mary and I go way back to the early days, and as she said, my father was instrumental in creating, working to create the first legitimate third party in the state of Minnesota, which ironically was called the Tea Party back in the early 1970s. So I remember many meetings around the kitchen table with my father and cohorts such as yourselves planning to do their best to restore sanity to Minnesota politics. We've come a long way since then, unfortunately in the wrong direction, most of it. But I'm here to talk about fraud. How many of you are sick of hearing about fraud? All right, well, I am sick of it as well, and we need to start doing something about it. And some of these candidates that have spoken here tonight would be a very good breath of fresh air in that direction. But I want to talk about the IRS for a minute. We've been immersed in this state tax fraud stuff, but we've got fraud that's been going on in the Internal Revenue Service with the Internal Revenue Code that's built right into the system. And I want to talk about that tonight. First of all, I wonder how many of you celebrated the national holiday that was declared by the National Taxpayer Advocate and the IRS in January. January 23rd, 2026 was the, this is a real thing, I'm not making this up, was the Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Day. How many of you celebrated the Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Day? Well, this was a scam that was produced by the Internal Revenue Service and the Office of the Taxpayer Advocate to bring awareness, she said, to bring awareness to the Earned Income Tax Credit. Now, the Earned Income Tax Credit is one of several refundable credits in the Internal Revenue Code. And I'm going to talk about what that means in just a second. But what they were doing is trying to publicize the awareness of the Earned Income Tax Credit so low-income people could claim more of these credits, in particular what we call the EITC. She says millions of people miss out on valuable credits because the rules are complex, awareness is limited, and access to reliable help varies. And she goes on and says the credit is in the holiday is intended to increase awareness of the refundable credits and help people help us to ensure that taxpayers are aware of their ability to claim these credits as provided by law. Now, I'm not against anybody claiming any credit or any benefit under the tax code that they're entitled to. I'm in favor of that. I've spent the last 45 plus years of my career helping people defend themselves from the Internal Revenue Service. I've represented individuals and small businesses in tax court and all across the country before the IRS. So I'm very much in favor of people getting the benefits they're entitled to under the law. The problem with the refundable tax credits is they are the biggest source of fraud in the Internal Revenue Code that there is. The leftist politicians would have us believe that it's the millionaires and the billionaires that are committing fraud and the corporations that are committing fraud, and it's just simply not true. The biggest area of fraud is with refundable tax credits. So what is a refundable tax credit? What are we talking about? The EITC is just one of them, and a refundable tax credit is a credit that you are able to claim on your tax return that actually gets you more money back from the government than you paid in the first place. So you, as a wage earner, let's say you had $3,000 worth of wage withholding over the course of the year. If you're entitled to a couple of refundable credits, you might actually get $5,000 back from the IRS. So you paid in 3, but you get back 5. That's a refundable credit to the tune of $2,000. The EITC is one of the largest refundable credits that there is. And essentially what it is, friends, and let's make no mistake about this, this is a welfare program, a federal welfare program that's administered by the Internal Revenue Service. And the proof of it is, as I said, is you're getting more money back from the government than you paid in the first place. And so what we're talking about here is free money from the government. Who doesn't want free money from the government? These credits are particularly susceptible to fraud because of the fact that they induce people to claim free money from the government. That's exactly what it is. And the General Accounting Office, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, 2 of these organizations are watchdog organizations over the Internal Revenue Service. But all 3 agencies, the IRS itself, the GAO, and TIG, the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, have all identified that this area of the tax code, these refundable credits, is a persistent, systematic, fraudulent problem in connection with these credits. So let me take you very quickly through some of the studies that were done, again, by these 3 agencies, the IRS being one of them. In 2024, the IRS estimated that the EITC program, that of the payments that were made by the EITC program, 1/3 of the total payments, more than $21.9 billion, were either fraudulent or erroneous. Think about that. We're beside ourselves here with you know, 10 or $20 billion worth of fraud in the state. We're talking about just one program for just 1 year with EITC. The National Taxpayer Advocate herself. Now remember, this is the lady who says we got to encourage EITC awareness. She reported herself in 2025 that the Earned Income Tax Credit has been plagued for years by a high rate of improper claims. But she says more people should be claiming it. More people should be out there claiming it. The General Accounting Office, Government Accountability Office actually, in 2025 reported that since 2003, all right, we're talking about roughly 20 years now, 2003, more than $2.8 trillion has been erroneously paid out by the federal government through these refundable credit programs, and that's $161.5 billion alone in just 2024. So as a result of the high level of improper payments, Congress came to the rescue. Congress came to the rescue in 2019, and they passed a law called the Payment Integrity Information Act. And they said, doggone it, you IRS have got to crack down on these improper payments. We don't want any more than 10% of the payments going out for these refundable credits to be improper. No more than 10%. And so they really got their arms around the problem. But the fact of the matter is that the GAO in 2025 reported that these refundable credits have been on the IRS's high risk list for fraud and abuse. And there's 4 principal credits that are involved here: the net premium tax credit, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, the additional child tax credit, and of course the EITC. These credits, each one of these 4 credits exceeds the 10% cap, and not just by a little. The EITC, 27% of the payments, according to the GAO's report in 2025, 27% of the payments made under this program are fraudulent or erroneous, and that's not even the highest one. The American Opportunity Credit has an erroneous or fraud rate of 28%. We're talking about tens of billions of dollars over the years into the trillions of dollars of payments that are going out that should not be, because of a complicated system that is susceptible to fraud because of its very nature. And the nature, again, is what, friends? Free money from the government. So this is what is going on here. Now let's be fair about this. The erroneous payments are not all attributable to fraud, right? There's really 2 problems that are going on here. Fraud certainly is one of the biggest problems, no question about that. And it's not just individual taxpayers that are responsible for the fraud. It's unscrupulous tax preparers. All right, we've got a unique situation in the United States where tax preparers, federal tax preparers, are not regulated in any way, shape, or form by the IRS, and they're not subject to any level of competency tests right now. Now, frankly, Congress and the IRS have been working long and hard to try to fix that, and there's a bill before Congress right now that would change that. But up to this point, if somebody's a plumber one day, and I don't disparage plumbers, because believe me, I need them a lot, but if you could be a plumber one day and tomorrow go out, hang a shingle on a door somewhere and call yourself a federal tax preparer, and you would be in business. And the question is whether you can generate any clients. That's a different discussion, but you could be a federal tax preparer. So these unregulated, what they call unenrolled preparers are often responsible for the fraud in connection with EITC, because what they do is they make a deal with their clients. The client walks in the door and the fraudulent preparer says, you know what? I can get you a bigger refund, you just gotta give me a taste. I'm happy to just wet my beak here, I only want 10 or 15 or 20% of the refund, and so the preparer doctors up the false tax return to get the EITC credit. And the other part of the problem, friends, is misunderstanding of the law. The earned income tax credit, all of these tax credits, are very complicated and very convoluted, and they've got a very long list of qualifications that most people simply either can't wade their way through, they can't plow through the qualifications, or they simply don't understand. There was a comment made by a former commissioner of Internal Revenue way back in the early 1990s that prompted me to write a book called How to Get Tax Amnesty, which became my national bestseller. How to Get Tax Amnesty shows people how to negotiate settlements with the IRS in situations where they owe money that they can't pay. But this IRS commissioner back in 1992 was named Shirley Peterson, and she testified before Congress about changes that made up the basis of that book that I wrote. And she said much of what we call tax evasion, or she didn't use the word evasion, but she said much of what we call non-compliance with the tax code is really not non-compliance at all. It's misunderstanding. And she made the comment then to the Congress that the tax law is too complicated, it needs to be simplified. Well, friends, let me give you a little sketch of how simplification has gone for us here in just the last 25 years. Remember, she made that comment in 1992. By the year 2000, the Internal Revenue Code was made up of approximately 1.3 million words. Between then and now, the tax law has been changed more than 6,000 times, and that doesn't even include the law changes that have occurred in the last 3 or 4 years. And we are now to the point where the Internal Revenue Code exceeds 4 million words. So how's that for tax simplification? I gotta tell you, friends, we gotta stop simplifying the tax code, and we gotta start working on repealing the tax code. That's what has to happen. And so we've got this compliance problem. We've got the compliance problem in that the code is just simply too convoluted to understand, and as soon as we think we get our arms around it, and this is particularly true of tax professionals, as soon as we think we get our arms around it, they change the law and we got to start all over again in understanding it. So we've got, if we're going to address fraud at the federal level, we've got to address refundable credits, and they've got to be simplified. At least, in my opinion, they have to be eliminated. Because what we're dealing with here, as I said already, is we're dealing with federal welfare programs administered by the Internal Revenue Service, which is fundamentally a misuse of the IRS's function. The core function of the Internal Revenue Service is to collect the nation's revenue, not to administer welfare programs. And this is particularly important now because we've got a situation where in the last 12 months, the IRS has lost 25% of its workforce. And so the more Congress asks the agency to do these extraneous tasks that have nothing to do with tax collection, the more we see the problem of what's called mission creep. And that is to say the IRS is asked to do more and more things that are unrelated to its core function, which spreads out its resources and spreads out its personnel to the point where it cannot perform its core functions, and that's where we're at right today. That's where we're at today. So we have got to recognize that mission creep is killing the agency. We've got to recognize that these refundable credits are welfare programs administered through the Internal Revenue Service, which is a fundamentally improper way to do it. And so we've got to understand also, friends, that complication breeds mistakes and it encourages fraud. And we could not have a more complicated tax code than we have right now, but they're working on it. They're doing their best. And I like to say if Satan himself created a tax system, it wouldn't be worse than what we have right now in Washington. We've got to get our arms around the fact that this code needs to be eliminated. And you know, we talk about tax reform this and tax reform that. We've had tax reform for 30 years, and it's gotten us a tax code that consists of more than 4 million words, changed more than 6,000 times. Tax reform is not what we need. We need to abolish the Internal Revenue Code, lock, stock, and barrel. We need to bulldoze the tax code. We need to recognize that the federal income tax, you can clap if you want. I owned it. We need to recognize that the federal income tax system is built on an unsound foundation. It's unsound morally, it's unsound constitutionally, and it's unsound economically. And when you've got a house, friends, that's built on an unsound foundation, you don't fix the problem by filling the nail holes and painting the walls. You fix the problem by bulldozing the house and starting over again. And that's exactly what we've got to do. We've got to forget about this simplification nonsense, and we've got to wrap our heads around the idea that we've got to abolish the Internal Revenue Service and the Internal Revenue Code, lock, stock, and barrel. That's what we have to do. So you candidates out there, both at a federal and state level, this is the idea that you got to get behind. I've written a great deal about this. I've got a treatise out there called The 10 Principles of Federal Tax Policy that was published by the Heartland Institute, and it was distributed to every legislator in the United States. You can go to my website to get that. TaxHelpOnline.com is my website. TaxHelpOnline.com. 10 Principles of Federal Tax Policy. As Mary said in my introduction, I am a regular contributor to National Review. I've got a number of articles on National Review about tax reform. You can go to nationalreview.com and put my name in the search box, and you'll get all those articles. And then over here at our table, we've got my books. I've written a total of 15 books, friends. 14 of them on tax policy and administration, taxpayers' rights, problems resolution, and one book on Christian culture called Salt and Light. And we are running a special on the Salt and Light book. You can get two books for $12, so give one to a friend. And you can follow me on social media. I'm on all the usual places: TikTok and Truth Social and Facebook, and then YouTube. My long form videos are on YouTube, and so you can follow me at Pilla Talks Taxes or follow me at TaxHelpOnline.com and check out my blog. That's a weekly blog that we post long form on YouTube. So Mary, that's all I got.
Should we take one question?
Well, here's what we can do. I actually prepared, when Mary said talk about federal fraud in the tax system, I put together a 3-hour presentation. So if anybody wants to stay until midnight, I can go through the rest of it.
But I know we've got one question over there.
We got a question, go ahead.
I like the idea of getting rid of the IRS. However, how would you propose financing the federal government, and what would you do with all of the individuals that would be displaced, the IRS agents?
Oh, what a shame that would be, huh? We've got an IRS now that's down to roughly 75,000 employees, and they just have to find an honest job somewhere. And you know, most of them probably could, because most people with the IRS, which is true everywhere, are honest people that are trying to do a reasonable job, frankly, under impossible circumstances. But what I would do, and answer your question in all fairness, is I would take all 5 of the federal taxes, all 5 of the major taxes that exist at the federal level: the personal and corporate income tax, the estate tax, the Social Security tax, and the unemployment tax. Those 5 taxes raise 98.5% of all federal revenue. All right, the other 1.5% comes from insignificant sources, like, for example, tariffs. Insignificant source of revenue. All right, so now I would replace all of those taxes with one national retail sales tax assessed on all consumption goods and services, collected by the states. All right, the states would be responsible for collecting the tax at the point of purchase, just like states do now with their state sales taxes, and the states would remit the federal portion to the government. That would eliminate the Internal Revenue Service entirely. It would take the federal government's hands out of your pocket directly, which the founders never intended for the federal government to have its hand in your pocket.
They weren't even supposed to know where we lived or what we did or anything.
Do we have any other questions? Do you want to take another question?
No, but will you come back again?
Sure, of course. I'll be happy to come back. I'll be happy to come back, and I'll prepare a 2-hour presentation next time. All right, thank you for your attention, and Mary, and we got the table over here.
Yeah, he goes way, way back with us. It's just great. Just great. We're still young though, aren't we, Dan? Yeah. Jackson Purfeerst, yes, Mayor of Crosslake. How many of you have been following him on Facebook or in the news or on social media? We have Jackson here tonight. Come on up. You're leading the Minnesota mayors demanding a crackdown on state program fraud and miscellaneous other things. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary, for your invite. How many of you, Dan already teed it off, but how many of you are tired of fraud? Raise your hand. That's everybody, I know, I'm sorry. How many of you have been to Crosslake? Oh, hey, sweet, love it, good, come back. You're more than welcome. So this started about after Thanksgiving. There's kind of a background story behind it. At first it started off with 7 local mayors, and I led the charge. We got together and we were all having a meeting. We said, what is your biggest problem that your city is facing at the moment? And the biggest problem was the paid family medical leave. If any of you know the Brainerd Lakes area, you know our economy is tourism. Tourism, tourism, tourism. So all these small businesses, from resorts to manufacturing to mom and pop shops, they are being heavily impacted by the paid family medical leave. You have to pay in, your employees can be out if they have a sliver. It's a real big joke. It's just another added cost. Well, that added cost, you know, the governor and the Minnesota Democrats proposed that, oh, it's just a tax on businesses. This isn't, you know, not going to impact everyday people. Well, it does, because cities have to pay it for city employees. And who pays taxes for the city? The taxpayers do. So you guys are paying not only maybe your own or into your own, but you're also paying it for your city. So that was the big deal. So we decided to get together and write a letter. And we just happened to rattle off some facts of the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce study that they did. And between 2019 and 2024, this was Minnesota's rankings. 33rd in GDP growth, 39th in job growth, 40th in labor force growth, 33rd in per capita income growth, 46th in median household income growth, 44th in tech job growth, 44th in overall tax competitiveness. And between 2020 and 2024, there were 48,000 residents that left the state of Minnesota. That is right from the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce study. We quoted that in our letter, and with Alpha News, love Liz Collins to death, she published it for us. After that, I had mayors from across the state, like Nate George from Bram, reaching out saying, how can I get onto this letter? Even though it was Brainerd Lake centric and quoting our tourism and everything like that, the same facts that we had quoted still applied to these other cities, including the fraud. So we got together once again, I rewrote the letter, it just spread like wildfire. Mayors were calling, asking how they could get their signature on the letter, so we did that. Then it hit KSTP News. After there were 98 of us, it once again took off, and it took off on a different scale. So mayors in Minnesota, we belong to the League of Minnesota Cities if you pay your membership. Within the League of Minnesota Cities, there's an option for mayors that we have a forum. So I pitched this letter in the forum that has about 584 different mayors. You would not believe the meltdown that it caused at the League of Minnesota Cities. I mean, we were getting reprimanded on not talking that way, on how this was divisive, on how mayors need to stay in their lane. This is way too political. If any of you read the letter, there was nothing divisive about it. We had just quoted the facts of the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce and said that with fraud, our cities are having to drive up our taxes to pay into the system that's taking away from you guys, our constituents, or we have to cut all of our essential services. I mean, fraud is impacting critical infrastructure. Many cities in Minnesota get local government aid, LGA, if their tax base fits the model that qualifies. Crosslake does not, but this applies to a lot of other cities. Money that should be going out to greater Minnesota or other cities that qualify are not getting it, are not getting the right amount because the fraud is taking away from these dollars that should be going out to smaller cities to simply survive. And those cities are having to tax even more to get some of that revenue back so they can invest in critical infrastructure. We're seeing it somewhat in the Brainerd Lakes area on how it's affecting public safety. We're only growing up in the Brainerd Lakes area. We would love to invest more in public safety, but our taxpayers can't take more taxes. So we're trying to figure out different ways on how we can fund critical infrastructure, EMS, police, all of that. So we did our letter, and we're up to 268 mayors right now, which is huge. I never thought I would have that many mayors contacting me and that many conversations with different mayors across the state. But it's been fun, and it's been a challenge. You know, I've actually had some mayors that call and say, well, you're nothing more but a GOP political hack and all this, I mean, just the malarkey. But it's really sad that not all the mayors are rallying behind condemning fraud and condemning the fiscal direction of the state of Minnesota. That was the whole point of our letter, and I feel like we hit it out of the park. I want to introduce you guys the mayor of Bram, Nate George, and he's also running for state auditor. He's been a great partner and a great help with this letter, so I just want to bring him up here and let him give a speech to you guys.
All right, thanks, Jackson. It has been an absolute pleasure working with this guy on this letter, and really this movement is what it really has become. We've got a whole new friendship group amongst the mayors who are really buying into this, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Maybe a whole new League of Minnesota Cities.
Hey, that would be all right.
One that's not infiltrated by the Democrats. My name is Mayor Nate George. I am the mayor of Bram, Minnesota, which is the homemade pie capital of the state. It's our one claim to fame. Anybody ever been through there?
Oh, yeah.
Right on. All right. How many of you have heard my speech before? All right, most of you. Okay, I'll try not to be too repetitive. You know, I never had any intention whatsoever of getting involved in politics. The fact that I'm even here tonight still boggles my mind. I'm a 20-year combat veteran of the United States Air Force. Been deployed 3 times to the Middle East. Thank you. And proudly, I am the only enlisted military veteran running for office on our ticket. So, when you want something done right in the military, you send an enlisted man to do it. So, right, where are my enlisted veterans in the house? All right, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. No offense to my officer candidate, fellow candidates. You know, I stepped into a financial situation that was very dire for our city. We have a very small town, about 1,800 people. Depends on if you count the people who stop for gas. But our previous administration had hit us with a 48% property tax levy increase. We were almost $1 million over budget, and our budget's only $2 million to begin with, and our cash reserves were negative. So we're borrowing money to pay for things. And like Jackson has said and pointed out so eloquently, we are on the front lines of trying to figure out how to be that cushion between the improper management of the state and the taxpayers, you all. Because whatever happens in St. Paul trickles down to directly affect every single one of us in every single one of our cities. And we just don't have enough mayors and councils out there who are willing to stand in the way of that. And we're starting a new movement of being willing to use our collective local voice to call the state out for what they're doing and hold them accountable for it. And it's an exciting thing to be a part of, and it's the first of its ever kind. And so I'm really excited to see where it goes and continuing with that momentum. But that's what got me into being a candidate for state auditor. Because the state auditor, that's their purview, is local government. And so one of their duties, aside from auditing and investigating local government, is to assist local government with best practices in managing your money and advocating and reporting to the legislature and the public and the governor on how state policies are impacting local government. And there's even a provision in Chapter 6 of Minnesota State Statutes which gives the state auditor its authority that allows local government to submit a formal resolution objecting to any state mandate and advocating for reform. And Bram is leading the way in passing and submitting a formal resolution objecting to the Paid Family Medical Leave Act. And so I'm excited to see what comes of that as well. And hopefully more cities can jump on board with that and flood the state auditor's office and the governor's office with all of these resolutions objecting to their terrible policy making. And so that's why when it comes to the experience to run this office, I'm the only candidate, not the best candidate, the only candidate that can say I have the experience and background and hands-on job knowledge in every single core job that the state auditor's office does. And we would have the first opportunity in years to finally get somebody in that office who can say that. What an opportunity. And so I hope I can count on your endorsement next month. I graduate with my master's degree in law on May 9th. And so it would be a wonderful graduation present. No, I don't want to drop any hints or anything, but this is our opportunity to finally get somebody in this office that really knows how to do the job and can actually bring results. And I'm already doing that. And real quick, I have legislation that is already in the hopper, about to be assigned a House file number to change Chapter 6 of Minnesota State Statutes and make my fraud risk score concept state law and mandatory. Thank you. And for those of you who don't know, the fraud risk concept not only grades local government on how well they protect your tax dollars, but it makes it mandatory for every local government to have a minimum score in order to qualify for any state funding, which means they have to demonstrate to you, each and every single one of you, that they can protect your tax dollars before they even ask for it. What a Nagle idea that would be.
Right.
So thank you very much. My name is Nate George, running for state auditor, and I'm happy to share the stage with Jackson anytime.
I'm thankful for Nate and his friendship. What? Oh yeah, I'm thankful for Nate as a colleague and his friendship and his leadership. It's been inspiring. I'm very glad to have him by my side. But we're not done. There's more to go. We've been working with Senator Cal Barr, and he just introduced a file in the Senate that would exempt cities from unfunded mandates or anything of the sort if the state does not have the money to fund a program or fund whatever they want to do and they want to take taxpayer dollars from cities. This would get rid of that provision. So contact your senator to support that one. That's huge. Let's pray it goes somewhere. Just another quick little backstory. We all know that the governor has the governor's fishing opener every single year. Well, last year he happened to come to Crosslake, and we did not apply for that at all. We did not apply. Cities vie for that, and it's a 2-year process. And we were in the running between it was between Stillwater and Duluth, and he snubbed both of those guys and came to Crosslake. Needless to say, we had the 1983 Minnesota flag up all over town when he came into town, so that was big. But where I'm going with this, yes, exactly, wave it high and wave it proud. Where I'm going with this is when he invited himself to Crosslake, 8 local mayors, spearheaded by myself, once again said, okay, Mr. Governor, if you're coming to Crosslake uninvited, you can at least sit down with 8 local mayors and listen to us for an hour on how what you're pushing down in St. Paul is affecting how we can operate within our cities. We never heard back, never heard back, never heard back. So I took my letter that I sent to him and put it in our council packet. Our council packet gets published in our newspaper. So there was my letter in our newspaper, which had then gotten attraction from Minneapolis, you know, the TV stations in Minneapolis. And so then there was this question of, is this governor going to snub mayors up in Crosslake, Minnesota, or the Brainerd Lakes area? Needless to say, he ended up having a meeting. It was in our locked police department. It was very interesting. No media, no nothing, whatever. So one of the big ones was, Mr. Governor, what are you doing about the fraud? And this was last year. And we had referenced the Medicaid problem. And he even said, and I had said this numerous times before, he acknowledged that there were problems with Medicaid. He said they know about the problems. But what he did is he blamed the problem on all the counties throughout Minnesota for just signing everybody up willy-nilly on all these programs, because apparently Minnesota has like a they accept everybody clause on these Medicaid forms and whatever. So don't let them tell you that they didn't know about the fraud. I mean, he admitted to us that there was a problem a year ago, and they haven't done anything about it. Anyways, that was just a little story. I just got back actually from CPAC in Dallas, so I had the opportunity to speak at CPAC about what we're doing here in Minnesota. So I had the privilege of actually speaking on a panel with Nick Shirley, so that was cool to meet Nick. We're very thankful for Nick here in Minnesota that he elevated this fraud problem onto a national level where we got some national attention out of it that really helped push the awareness and the cause over the line. But CPAC was awesome. Usually we see Mary there. Sadly, we didn't see her this year. There's only 3 or 4 Minnesotans there. It was myself, Rick Aguilar, Vicki Froelich, and Erica Kennedy. So it was nice that we had a little Minnesota contingent. But it was very nice to meet Nick and actually talk at the CPAC stage and say, there's a lot of Minnesotans that are sick and tired of this. This is not how Minnesota is ran, and this is not the reputation that we want. Minnesota is 2 separate deals. There's the Minneapolis, Minnesota, and there's everything else that's Minnesota. So that was a very, very fun experience that I'm very thankful for. I think Nick Shirley might be back in Minnesota, but I don't know when, so we'll have to wait and see.
Bring him here.
We'll see what we can do. How many other cities are flying the original, or the 1983 Minnesota flag? Are any of your guys' cities flying the flag? Champlin is? Okay, great. Bram is. I am. Come on up. Gary, you're over in Elk River. You've been working on it. And just come on up and tell us what you're doing about it.
Okay. Thanks, Jackson. Yeah. So I'm not a mayor. I'm not a candidate. I haven't written any books. But I do have a passion for our flag. And this flag in particular, I won this last weekend at our BPO meeting. Yeah, you can do that. That'd be great. I won that at our BPO meeting in Elk River, in Sherburne County. And I'm with Restore Minnesota, Sherburne County chapter. If you're interested, you want to belong to Restore Minnesota, you can do that. We have our own chapters. But I'm here to talk about the flag today, not about election integrity or anything. Everybody knows how the new flag was produced, right? We know why it was produced, right? Because we've been taken over, right? And the first thing you do when you take over something, what do? You plant your flag. So they planted their flag. So we have an opportunity. The one thing that we know for sure is the devil isn't perfect, right? The devil has people here on this earth to do its dirty deeds. And they made a big mistake in St. Paul. The statute for the new flag is statute 1.141. If you go look at that statute, it says the new flag, we know what the flag is, right? The Somali flag has to fly above the state capitol during the sunrise to sunset every day. Didn't say anything about anywhere else in the state of Minnesota. There's a huge hole, and we can run through that hole. It's really important that we do. So what we're doing here, what we're doing in Elk River right now is we have, it was real super simple. You don't have to be a big hero. I just wrote a letter to my mayor. I went up to the city council and I talked in front of the city council and I handed them a resolution. And I said, here's a resolution that Elk River fly the original flag. It wasn't rocket science. Well, they brought it up, and now this coming Monday they're going to vote on it. So pray when you're praying this weekend and through Monday, please pray for Elk River. That's the great part. So we're doing our part, but everybody else can do their part. So Crosslake and Bram and Champlin and St. Francis and Elk River. Really what we can do is we can just surround the whole state, just like you said, from all around Minneapolis and St. Paul with our flag. We can take our land back. We can take our heritage back. So just everybody, I just wanted to bring that here, let everybody know that. Thank you, Jackson. I don't know, but I'd like to team up with you if I could.
You can.
That would be great. We have a couple of our people here we're going to talk to afterwards.
You're more than welcome.
So thank you, everybody. So that's what we're doing in Elk River. Everybody can do it in every city. It's not rocket science. It's something we can do. You don't have to be a mayor. You can be you. Just take care of it. So thank you very much, everybody.
Sweet. Well, Mary, you want to take it away, or should I take a question, or what do you think? One or two quick questions, if anybody has them. Go ahead. Mr. Blue Shirt.
The cities where the mayors did not want to get in.
Yes.
I live in Bloomington.
Yes. I never heard from that mayor.
It's a very communist city. What did the mayors that didn't want to get involved have in common? Were they, they all have tails, horns? What was the common denominator?
One was had to do with the University of Minnesota. The other one was somewhere down Worthington mayor, I guess. I'd say they probably do not think the same way we think. So that's just simply that. It's really too bad that they didn't want to do that with us. Just there was nothing abrasive or controversial about the letter. It was simply stating out that, hey, fraud is impacting our citizens, it's impacting our cities, and the state and the fiscal direction of Minnesota is going to hell in a handbasket, and we really need to turn it around. It's a huge bipartisan issue. So, any other ones? And then I'll let you go. Oh, go ahead.
Where can we get that list, and is Stillwater on the list?
Stillwater is not on the list, they never answered, but it's on my mayor page, so Mayor Jackson Purfeerst. Purfeerst. You might have to scroll a little bit, but it's on there. So, and then.
And I went to college with the mayor of Stillwater. He's a conservative.
Well, I think we might do one more push of this too.
I would.
Yes, Marjorie. CPAC, it was fun. It was a blast. There was a lot of people there. It was very intense, I must admit. It was intense. It was 3 days of nonstop, good, solid speakers. It was very inspiring. There were definitely people there of all ages. I wish I maybe saw a few more younger people like myself. Nothing against that. But we just need more people my age to step up and get involved. You guys have done so much work throughout the years. It's my generation's turn to continue to fight and bring that work forward and carry the torch. But it was very nice. There was a lot of people. I made very good connections from across the state. Like I said, I got to talk with Nick Shirley for about 3 hours. It was interesting to get to know him. Definitely going to be a good connection coming up in the future for Minnesota in general, but we're each going down different paths, and that's okay. Nick's more about exposing and doing what he needs to do to bring these problems on a national level to light, and I'm more so about responsible governance how we can try to peel the onion back and get to some common sense legislation. But otherwise, all in all, very thankful, very blessed for the opportunity to speak at CPAC. Go ahead.
If I want to approach the city of Plymouth about the flag,
Yeah.
exactly what do I do?
You know what? There's some people here from Restore Minnesota, but I honestly think it's as simple as asking the question, like, hey, can we please fly the 1983 Minnesota flag? I think there's some sample resolutions going around, so I would definitely contact somebody from the Restore Minnesota group. They might have a sample resolution to give you, and he's right behind you.
Yeah.
So we got you covered there. Anybody else?
See, Dale Witherington too, if you know Dale Witherington.
Yeah, Dale,
Yeah, he
yes.
started it.
Dale's around. Dale will be able to help you for sure. Any other questions before I turn it over to Nate real quick? Go ahead, sir.
I just thought I'd let you know that Sheriff Brock from Sherburne County has refused to fly the new flag
Good.
for years.
Good.
And when we go on parades, we take 2 sheriff's flags and 1 U.S. flag.
Wow. That's crazy. There's nothing racist about the 1983 Minnesota flag. That is a bunch of hooey. That is how we were settled by people settling Minnesota and the Native Americans. They worked hand in hand. That's how it worked.
Well,
They supported, right, exactly. I have people of Native American descent in Crosslake that are like, thank you for not erasing my heritage and my history. So I'm gonna hand it over to Nate, but thank you guys. It was great to meet you all.
Hey, to go back to the first question real quick, I had another example. Jackson probably remembers this too because it was on the forum. But Rochester Mayor, I don't know how many of you heard stories about Rochester. I want to highlight it because it really just hit on how out of touch some of these people are. And the response that we got back from the Rochester Mayor was, well, the paid family medical leave only accounted for a 1.7% increase in our levy. Only. And my response back to the Rochester Mayor was, that's 1.7% of your tax levy that you didn't have to charge your taxpayers last year. And that's the point you're missing.
Right.
Government should only be about operating on the lowest amount of dollars possible. Don't ask for a penny more than what you need to provide the basic services that you're required to provide. It's when people get too comfortable asking for more of other people's money, that's where we start seeing these problems occur. And then to the other gentleman's question too, the other thing I would recommend is, as far as how do you approach your city council, ask to put that topic on their agenda for the next meeting. And then they have to talk about it, because it's on the agenda.
And then bring everybody on your behalf.
Yep.
I just want to say what I did was I wrote a letter and I actually attached the resolution.
Perfect.
So
There you go.
that's the resolution. It's super simple. Then they don't have to think about it. We just read the
Yep.
resolution and then they apply.
They don't have to do any work, which councils tend to like that. All right, thank you all.
One last thing, Mary, because Nate touched on it, and it was exactly true. The city of Crosslake, I was very thankful that we had a 0.22% tax increase over fiscal year 2025. 0.22%. A majority of that 0.22% was $10,300 that was specifically for paid family medical leave for 25 city employees and 25 paid on-call volunteer firefighters. We simply passed that right to the taxpayer. That is how much the difference is, and that's only 50 employees. Now imagine if you're like Rochester or you're like the mayor of South St. Paul, where his went up 100,000 plus and it was 1% of his budget. That's what you're passing. And there's no money to fund the program that's already there, and they're not going to get rid of it. So imagine how much more that's going to increase, and it's going to impact your dollars. All right, thanks. Here you go, Mary.
Jackson and I were in touch a lot the last 2 days. We were really watching the storm because we went, oh my God, if you don't show up, Jackson. because he's, got quite a meaty little piece here. But, yeah, it looked good, and the roads were good. Weren't they coming down? They were interesting. They were interesting? Oops, well, they were pretty good.
That's all right, it'll be good.
All right. All right, if you need to stand up and shake a leg to wake up, will you please do that? But we've got 2 more candidates, and we've got some interesting information. Something to do with this Declaration of Independence here, and that one in the back. You're not going to want to miss it, because it's going to be something else you can implement on your city, BPOU level, whatever, to help celebrate the 250th birthday of our country. Remember, I've been promising this info for a couple of meetings. So I'm going to bring up Wendy Phillips, who is running for Secretary of State. And you might want to hum a few tunes. I hear she's a former singer. You were in a lot of bands, you said. What kind of bands were you in?
I was in rock bands, in country rock bands.
Rock and country?
Yeah.
Oh, you have that one.
Rock and country rock. So, as you know, my name is Wendy Phillips. I'm running for Secretary of State. I don't know about all of you, but after listening to these speakers tonight, I'm feeling pretty fired up, and I feel like we could go out and conquer all of the evil in the state of Minnesota right now. So, absolutely. You know that I am a wife, a mom, a brand new grandma. I am an escapee from the communist state of California. I spent the first 62 years of my life there. We saw my mother through to the end of her life at the age of 93, and we could have gone anywhere in the country. We knew we wanted to get the heck out of California, even though that was my home state. But we decided that we needed to come to Minnesota, my husband's childhood home, to take care of his parents at the end of their lives. And it blessed our hearts to do that. You know, we've had group participation all night, so I'm going to ask you, how many of you in here think that Steve Simon has a really big hand in creating the hot mess we're living in Minnesota right now? Absolutely. You know that what we've got is an election system that nobody trusts, and a group of people running it, and nobody trusts them either. And what we need to do is we need to get back down to the basics. A system that we can trust, easy to trust, hard to cheat. You know, usually I go through all of the specifics of what it is that I stand for, what it is that I advocate for. I'm going to ask you tonight to go to my website, wendy4sos.com, because I want to talk to you about something a little bit different tonight. First off, we do want to simplify things. Our voting system should be so simple that we show up, we vote, we count the votes ourselves by hand in the precinct, and then we double check those counts to make sure that we got them right. There's a whole lot of cheating going on, and some of the newer stuff that's coming up is in automatic registration for voting when you get a driver's license or you get put on Medicaid. I believe that our president is in the process of remedying that. He just dropped an EO 2 days ago, and in that EO what it states is that the DHS is going to create a master list across the United States of eligible voters, and they are going to be aided by the Social Security Administration, and our voter rolls are going to be checked against that master list. That is definitely a step in the right direction. Another huge problem we're having is with mail-in voting and abuse of absentee voting. In that EO, it states that there is going to be, now I couldn't say this word earlier, let's see if I can say it right now, a 2-factor authentication. And that authentication is going to come in the form of a barcode that the USPS is going to have to put on envelopes, and every single envelope is going to have a unique barcode that matches a person and an address that has been verified. I think this is tremendous progress. I was speaking last night with one of the authors of the EO that worked with President Trump for the last 4 months, and what he has told me is that they believe they can implement this infrastructure by September 1st of this year. I'll tell you what, that is a glimmer of hope, isn't it? And so I want to move on from here. Cleaning our voter rolls is huge. And that is going to take us a long way down that road. But, you know, one of the things that people have been concerned about with me is they think that I don't have any experience in politics. Well, for 5 years, I have served with my whole heart. I was an endorsed candidate for the House seat in 25A. I was the Olmsted County BPOU chair for 2 years. The biggest county, 23% of the delegate vote in CD1. I was a member of the state executive board, and now I'm running for your Secretary of State. So here's my qualification. I was a business owner for 25 years. I had an ad specialty business, but I don't think that that qualified me as much as one of the other things that Mary alluded to, and that was that I have a musical background. So when I was, yeah, you laugh, it's like, how do music and politics, you know, where does that balance out? Well, I'm about to tell you. So when I was 40-ish, my 12-year-old daughter came into a saving relationship with Jesus Christ. I was playing in a rock band in nightclubs and casinos all over California, and I'm a songwriter, so I am really into lyrics. And my daughter brings home all this amazing rock music that has faith-based lyrics. And God called me to him through my daughter and through music. And praise God is right. One of the things, in addition to the list of things that I mentioned at the beginning, number one, I'm abiding by the endorsement. I have been since the moment I got in. And the other thing that is far more important is I am a follower of Jesus Christ. And as I am moving through this process, I'm going, okay, what is it that music and politics has in common? Excuse me. Have any of you ever heard the term worship wars? Well, worship wars are a very real thing. I was hired as a change agent to come into a church and transition it from a very traditional program that was in a dying church to a contemporary program that was going to attract young families into that church. I didn't know at the time that change agents last about 12 to 18 months because it is brutal. Well, changing the laws for our elections is going to be brutal. We need a change agent for that job. I want to tell you, I was ready to leave at 12 months, but God wouldn't let me, and I served in that church for 8.5 years, and we grew that congregation by about 7 times. And it was an amazing thing to be part of. We need a change agent in this office because this is going to be a tough job. And I want to tell you, I will not back down. I will not compromise. And God gave me a gift 2 years ago. You know that we can always look at ourselves and we can go, I hope and pray that I am that person when I'm backed into the corner, that I will be faithful to God and to the people that I serve, and I will not compromise. Well, 2 years ago, I was tested like that. I had the choice between serving people in this state that were disenfranchised or saving my own office on the state executive board. And I chose to serve the people. I was removed from office, but I was given a gift from God. I am that person who will stand up in a fight for every one of you. I will not back down. And we've got amazing opportunities. God is moving in the state. We've got Trump, who on May 17th has declared we're going to rededicate our country to God. That is totally amazing. We have got our 250th birthday coming up on January 4th, and I see an amazing opportunity for us to elect a new brand of public servant, of statesmen, not politicians, but statesmen, who will pour their hearts out like a drink offering for all of you. My name is Wendy Phillips. I'm running for SOS. That stands for Secretary of State. But right now, more than anything, it means to me, save our state. God bless each and every one of you.
Are you awake now? Yes, I know. There's a lot of energy in this room tonight. Okay, we're going to move on to Dalia Al-Aqidi. She's also running for U.S. Congress in CD5.
and I will wake them up. Good evening, everyone. What a great evening to be indoors.
Yeah, sure is.
November 7th, 2024, I stood in this room. I spoke to you from here, from this podium, and I told you, this is not over. The fight is not over, and I'm not quitting. And I'm keeping my promise to you today. I'm running again in 2026 because we cannot have Ilhan Omar in office anymore. In 2024, 86,000, over 86,000 people voted for me. And I outperformed President Trump by 25%, which means that these people, that 25%, when they voted for Kamala, they went down the ballot and could not vote for Ilhan Omar. And they voted for a Republican. So here it is. I always tell my campaign, one dem at a time. And that's what I'm doing. Let me tell you, my name is Dalia Al-Aqidi. Here I am. I look better in this picture, but it's okay. I was born in Baghdad, Iraq. By the age of 5, I was sent to a different country, Lebanon, to a Catholic boarding school. In 1993, I moved legally to the United States with the help of a dear friend of mine. His name was Chris Stevens. If you guys don't know who Chris Stevens is, Chris Stevens was one of the 4 great Americans that were killed in Benghazi. And Hillary Clinton said, what difference does it make? I've been a journalist for 37 years. I fought everywhere against radical Islamism, against Sharia law. And speaking of CPAC in 2020, I gave a speech about Sharia law. I gave a speech there in Washington, D.C. about how dangerous radical Islamism is. And this is not something I've read in books or I learned in school. I've lived there. I know this ideology. When I took my citizenship oath, I took it seriously. I pledged to defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemy, and that's why I'm running against Ilhan Omar. I've been a journalist. I've worked with think tanks about radical Islamism, about terrorism, because I've seen it. I've seen terrorism and I've covered it in New York, in Washington, D.C., in London, in Madrid, and in the Middle East. So I know what I'm doing, and I know how dangerous these people are. In the next few months, I'll make Democrats very uncomfortable. They don't want us to talk about issues that they're really, really trying to avoid. They don't want us to talk about fraud. They don't want us to talk about boys and girls' bathrooms and in schools. They don't want us to talk about small businesses that are running away from our district. And if you don't know, I live in downtown Minneapolis. I know how it is. And we cannot sit still while everything is collapsing around us. Maybe, how many people are here from CD5? So you guys understand what I'm talking about. You guys know when you park your car in the street, when you go in the morning, you're not sure that you find the car or not. Let me tell you one thing, in 63 years, this is the first time that Republicans have a chance to flip the whole state red, and I'll be one of it. And I'm the only candidate in this race that is not only seeking endorsement, I'm abiding by it, because I honor the decision of the delegates. I honor your decisions because I'm part of the grassroots. I have a great campaign team. I have more than a dozen of young Republicans that are for the first time in their life are getting involved in politics. This is how we change people. This is how we could win. This is how we be so loud and make every Democrat uncomfortable, because enough is enough. Let's win this race. I need your help and support of every one of you, and God bless the United States of America. Let's win this.
Thank you, thank you. Just real quick, the next John Adams Society debate, how many of you have gone to those? Anybody? Those are pretty good, aren't they? They're at Burger Moose in St. Paul. The next one is April 15th, and they're going to be sitting around discussing resolved. Taxes are proof that our government cares about us. Yes. Also, somebody brought it to the attention too, on your taxes, there's always that little box that you can check mark if you want to donate $5 to the political choice. How many of you have done that? If you have your taxes done, please make sure that box is checked to your liking, okay? That'd be very good. Next up, I've been talking about the 250th birthday, and Travis Eckbaum has been working on a wonderful little project that is, he has come up, well, I don't want to give too much away, but he's got something that's extremely affordable and doable for every campaign, BPOU, organization. Where else can they do this?
County fairs. If you happen to know any mayors, this might be something that your local town festival would be interested in. I am Travis Eckbaum. I think Mary has me go last because I'm basically like Bob Hope. Nobody wants to follow me. I'm also the guy who brings the flag. Mary has now given me the nickname. Well, she said my Indian name is Guy with Flag. So, and Gary, if you're interested, I actually have a 1983 Minnesota flag, that same size, that we could definitely put to use up in Elk River. I am going to be speaking to you tonight, though, about MNUSA 250. How many of you have heard me talk about MNUSA 250 before? Okay, great. That's most of you, but for those of you who don't know, this is America's 250th birthday, and the official national organization that is supposed to be conducting celebrations for it, America 250, was totally corrupted by, pick your term, woke, leftist, Marxist. The chairwoman of the organization said she feels more at home in Mexico than she does in the United States, so exactly the kind of person that Barack Obama would have picked to plan our national birthday. In order to counteract the programming that's coming out of that, I started an organization called MNUSA 250. And what we're doing is producing and distributing materials directly into Minnesota schools so that we can bypass the sort of institutional approvals that are in place through school boards. School boards approve and determine curriculum, but teachers have wide latitude with what are called supplemental materials. Now, in order to pay for the production and distribution of those supplemental materials, we need to raise money. And I will say, the people at the Tea Party meetings have been very generous in the past. You are always welcome to go to our website, mnusa250.org, and make a donation. But as a fundraiser, we are also doing something that allows people to participate in a unique way with the American Revolution. If you look on the back wall, and feel free to stop and take a closer look at it on your way out, what I've produced is a giant 5-foot by 6-foot version of the United States Declaration of Independence. And what we've done is we've removed the signatures from the bottom, not because the signatories of the original declaration were insignificant by any stretch of the imagination, but because we want to give people, especially young Americans, the opportunity to participate in that history, to go up to that declaration, sign their name on the bottom, and say, I am committing my life to these principles the same way the founders of our nation did. Now, as I've said, we're going to be trying to get these into county fairs. If you are involved in your BPOU, maybe your BPOU would want to have this at a county fair or your annual fundraiser, whatever you might be doing. Please share this with mayors. Obviously, every small town in Minnesota has its own festival, its own celebrations this summer. The more of those we can get this in, the better. And churches, any place that you might have a community connection, this would be a great place to deploy that. It's also available for sale on our website, mnusa250.org. Click the button that says Declaration Kits. When you order it, it's going to come with that 5-foot by 6-foot copy of the Declaration, a box of permanent markers, some command strips so you can adhere it safely to a wall, and also a smaller sort of instruction panel that explains to people so that if you don't have somebody standing next to it permanently, they can see what's going on and understand the significance there as well. So those are available for $250, but if you use the promo code USA250, you get a 17.76% discount. So it winds up being just over $200 for the whole kit and caboodle. So again, we're raising that money so that we can get materials into classrooms for free at no expense to the teachers or the schools. So I love the big flags. I love the big declaration. I also love this big guy right here, David Meisner. If you want to know more about MNUSA 250 and sort of a long-form discussion that he and I had about American history, you can check out his podcast on Rumble. Red, White, and True is Red, White, and True is what. Red, Right, and True. I'm sorry. Red, Right, and True is what you want to look for on Rumble there. So.
What was that promo code again?
It should be USA 250. So, thank you very much. I'm going to be around here taking the flag down and packing up. If you have more questions, feel free to come over and grab me, and we can chat for a little bit. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America, and happy Easter to each and every one of you.
Thank you. So let me just add to this just very quickly. I'm the chair of Senate District 32, and this is what we're going to do. We've already got it approved. We're buying a kit. We're going to be creating events for our particular legislative candidates to attend. And we're going to be really promoting it to having the children come and sign this. Well, where there's children, there's adults who vote. So this just gives you one idea of what you can do to help your candidates that are endorsed and running for office. My background, as you know, is training and development. I won't go back into this too much, but there's a lot of good materials that you can bone up on too, so you can talk about our founding and our founding fathers. To the children first, you don't have to go into great details, but just imagine the excitement for them to understand what this represents, and then they can actually go sign that declaration themselves. I mean, I would have liked it as a child. I think it'd be great. What I did is I just have a prototype here of the actual declaration with the signatures in case you want to talk about some of the more famous names on it that you can have at these events. If you go on Amazon, there is a particular author that I would like you to look up. Her name is Tara Ross, Taraross. She has come up with a book called We Fought for Freedom, The Story of Our American Revolution. This is a book you can take a look at, and I'll have it again here next month. But this just goes through from beginning to end. It's a fabulous story, but it will really help make you more conversational. The other thing is that you don't know this, but at the bottom of the original Declaration of Independence, the publisher's name of that document is on there, and it was a woman. It was a woman by the name of Mary Catherine. She was in Maryland, and as you know, the Continental Congress went to Maryland for a little while, and while they were there, in the group of five were writing the Declaration of Independence, they had to get it published, printed, and go out into the streets and show the people. They did that before they presented it to the king. In the original document with her name on it. So there is a woman's name on the Declaration of Independence. You might enjoy little stories like that. But anyway, I've got some other information. Please remember too that when I started out about 20 years ago, Cindy, you're going to remember this. This was my book called We Love Our Country, America's Constitutional Republic. This is how I got my start with all the Tea Party groups. Cindy, you had me to come talk about the elements of why we have a constitutional Republican form of government. And I would go around all the state to all these Tea Party Patriot groups and all these rallies and all this and that. I wasn't known as Tea Party, I was known as that gal with the book. I had a Native American name too, gal with book. So I'd show up and talk about things, what we can do, what our responsibility is to uphold all these liberties and so forth. And I'd share half the profits with them, and that's how a lot of these Tea Party groups, well, they were funded for a little bit there for a while, but doing things like that. So the history goes way back, but this is another excellent way. Don't go on Amazon and buy this. Buy it from the trunk of my car. It's a lot cheaper. But also know that there's some really fun cartoon, what do you call these, coloring books? And these also have little stories. They put Davy Crockett, they put all these different people in here, but there's a lot of things to really entice these kids and really get them involved with signing that. So I will talk more about this next month. May 7th is our next meeting. And May 7th, you guys have been talking about maybe having a United States Senate forum. So what I did is I reached out to the top 4 BPOU straw poll finishers. And that would be Mark York, Adam Schwarze, Michelle Tafoya, and Royce White. So I reached out to them and asked if they would like to have, I'll step back because I should not be involved in anything with the questions or the moderating, but I asked Jack Tomsek from AM 1280 for the Jack Tomsek podcast and radio show if he would moderate it. And I've asked each campaign to submit 2 policy questions, not to me, but to Jack. So that would be how the forum would take place. So I'll just do my usual introduction next month, and then I would step back and let Jack moderate the rest of the meeting. Does that sound interesting to you? Okay. The other thing, though, is that when I reached out, I have not heard yet from one campaign. One campaign said no, and the other 2 said yes. So I'm in a little bit of a quandary here, and I may have to expand out, bring in the next person who had some votes in these straw polls. But let me see how this continues to evolve. Maybe I can have a few more conversations with the 2 that have not responded or said no, and maybe we can still get them here. I think they are concerned, and rightly so, that this, is my deal that I'm doing here, and they thought maybe it might not be fair and unbiased, but it will be, and it is. So, are you okay with that if we go ahead with it? Okay, I just kind of wanted to make sure, because I think it would be very, very good. It'll be right before the state convention. So we'll keep working on that. Just watch for the emails. I do want to say that if you're a campaign or a candidate and you weren't able to speak tonight, sometimes candidates come and I don't know they're going to be on the agenda, and we just simply run out of time, which is what happened tonight. We're about 10 minutes over, so I just want to remind everybody to please help these campaigns save money by picking up their flyers, their pound cards. Don't put them all in one big pile, but please separate them out so it's easier for them to take their flyers back home with them. And with that, I'm going to say please drive safe, have a blessed Easter, and we will see you on May 7th.
We are celebrating a birthday, not only the 250th year. This Saturday is Mary's birthday. And if we could just take a moment and sing her happy birthday, and I will not sing in the mic.
No, I won't either.
Yeah, and thank her for her generous and awesome Tea Party meetings that she holds for us every single month. Happy birthday, Mary.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mary.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you for everything, Mary.
Happy birthday, Mary.